All right, now you got a good shot of everyone.
Hey everybody. Can y'all hear me okay? Yeah. Oh, great.
All right, so if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, and then when you're done, we'll have our first question come up.
All right, well, thanks for having me. It's really fun. And I'm way down here in Florida, so it's nice and sunny outside. I hope it's the same where you guys are. I'm Dr. Jett, and I'm really glad to be with you today. And I'm really happy that you all are kind of become interested in killer whales and blackfish. And as you may or may not know, I've been in blackfish, and I was kind of part of the whole blackfish thing. And I was a trainer, killer whale trainer at SeaWorld in Florida, in Orlando, Florida, in 1990. So I did about 5 years. And I went an awful lot with Philip. Philip is the whale course that Phil Don Penshow in 2010. And for me and for some of the other former trainers, probably most specifically Dr. Jett, we saw that as an opportunity really to begin to discuss what captivity does to killer whales and some of the negative consequences of killer whale captivity, which we saw firsthand and which we talked about an awful lot as we were trainers together and then as we moved on to other careers. And so for us, it's been a real opportunity, and we appreciate the opportunity to really let the public know what goes on behind the scenes and how tragic this whole captivity thing is for killer whales that are placed in these very small concrete tanks. So hopefully you guys at some point in your lives can get out and see killer whales in the wild. So for me, every time I see them in the wild, and I've spent a good bit of time with killer whales in the wild, it changes your life. It makes you realize just how impoverished existence is in captivity. So that's a very quick background, really brief background on me. I can continue to talk on and on, but I'd rather hear from you guys. So why don't we get started?
Hi, I'm Kinsey. So my question is, in what ways could new technology alleviate the abuse that animals face in captivity?
So the question is, I've been asked to repeat the question is, how can technology or new technology alleviate basically the suffering that animals experience in captivity? One great example is the Monterey Bay Aquarium in California, where they don't have live animals there. They don't have captive killer whales and dolphins. Instead, what they do is they have multimedia presentations, these amazing 3D videos and really educational programs that are a result of some really amazing video technology that exists now. And so that certainly means that instead of having live animals who have to suffer the consequences of being placed in these small concrete tanks, we instead have video of them in their natural habitat, where those behaviors in their natural environment can be discussed and provide an opportunity to educate visitors to those kind of establishments. So that's just one example. And really, we're not talking about animal abuse at places like SeaWorld. I really don't think what we're seeing in captivity I would call abuse. Instead, the animals just don't belong in captivity. They haven't evolved to live in these small spaces. So it's just a function of really living in tight spaces with nowhere to swim and living with animals who they oftentimes don't get along with. So it's not like the trainers are out kicking them or beating them with brooms. It's not really animal abuse per se. Instead, it's just a result of being confined. And so that's how we see all the health and social issues. So hope I kind of answered your question on that. Next question would be great.
Hi, I'm Ronan. What do you think of SeaWorld's decision to end its captive breeding program and its partner with the Humane Society of the United States?
Yeah, well, so I applaud the new CEO, Joel Mandy, for making a very hard decision, and that is to end captive breeding. And I know for a fact that there were a lot of people, especially people that have been working at SeaWorld for a long period of time, that didn't want this to happen. So really fought on this. But the CEO is smart enough to know that they didn't do something, that SeaWorld was going to go bankrupt, because people just aren't going to the park now because of blackfish. Right? You see it and you don't go. You don't take your children. And so if you don't have visitors, then the park really, it fails in the long run. You can't stay open without money. And so what this was essentially, although I think it's a step in the right direction, this is essentially a marketing campaign. This is meant to show the public that they care, that they're doing the right thing. But let's consider that even though this does help animals in the future who have yet to be born, so now they're not going to be born into captivity, it does nothing for the animals that are currently there. They're going to live out, presumably, their miserable lives until they die in concrete tanks. Well, it didn't really do much for them. And at the end, SeaWorld did not do this voluntarily. They did this because they were forced to do this. They were forced to end captive breeding because that's what the public demanded. And I'm skeptical. I don't think this is going to be enough to pull them out of the tailspin they are that they're in. I don't know that enough customers are going to come back to really come out.
Hi, I'm Jeff, and my question is, what can I and fellow classmates draw from this to make a difference in the future?
One thing I've learned, so the question was, again, kick me if I forget to restate the question, but it was essentially what can you guys learn from this whole blackfish thing, right? Well, one thing I've learned is that there's a lot of great people in the world. And I've gotten the opportunity, luckily, to sort of travel around a lot of places and give talks, much like we're doing today, in different countries, in different settings, college campuses. I've done a lot of stuff on things like CNN. One take-home message for me is that there's a lot of really nice, caring people in the world. There are a lot of junky people who want to continue to do things like exploit killer whales in captivity. There's also a lot of great people that want to do good things. And I think one take-home message, is that one or two people can really make a huge difference in the world, right? And it started with Dr. Ventry and me essentially speaking up against the practice, and then writing some articles, and then showing up on news channels. And so we kind of got this ball rolling, even though it's scary and it requires some courage. You can make a big difference in the world. And social media, things like Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat, all these things that you guys are really used to and have become a part of your life, it's very powerful tools to get messages out to the rest of the world. So it's a lot of good, positive things to be, I think, to be taken away from this whole blackfish issue.
Hi, I'm Dominic. I'd like to ask you this question. If you were given the chance to reword, rephrase, or tell something differently in your part of the documentary, what would your message be?
So the question is, if I had an opportunity to restate anything in the documentary, what would that be? How would I restate it? My objective for participating in Blackfish was the same thing as the director's objective, Gabriella Cowperthwaite. And our objective was to simply tell the truth and be accurate and be honest. And so I did that in the documentary, and there's nothing I would really rephrase. There's one small detail, though, that I kind of regret, and that's when we were discussing Daniel Dukes. Daniel Dukes was the park guest who hid in the park until after hours, and then somehow he ended up in the pool until it had killed him. The assumption at that point was, and it's an assumption that I really didn't even think about, was that Daniel Dukes probably jumped in the water. And that's what I state in blackfish that, he jumped in the wrong pool. Well, in sort of reassessing that, what I should have said was that there's probably a high probability that Tillicum pulled him into the pool, which means that Tillicum was much more of an active participant in Daniel Duke's death than just using Daniel's body as a play. So, other than that, I think what I stated in Blackfish was, to the best of my knowledge, accurate, and I know it was honest in my poetry.
Hi, my name is Nadia, and I'm actually going to be asking 2 questions on behalf of myself and my friend. My friend's question is, when orcas are in captivity for their entire life, and they're to be released into the wild, how do you think they'd adapt?
So the question is, how would captive killer whales who spend their lives in captivity, how do they adapt to being released into the wild? And the answer to that question is actually very complicated. We know from Keiko, which was, of course, the whale featured in Free Willy, that Keiko's eventual release into the wild was a huge success, right? He traveled over 1,000 miles. He was catching his own food. He was interacting with the killer whales. And in the end, he died of a viral infection. I believe it was viral, pneumonia. And that's probably a result of his weak immune system from living in concrete tanks his whole life. So, in reality, most killer whales that are in captivity are actually very poor candidates for full release into the ocean. I know you folks have been studying some of the literature on captivity in killer whales, perhaps some of the things that I've written. One of the things we know is that their teeth in captivity end up being really in bad shape, and they grind them down and their teeth get broken off and they are drilled out by trainers, and I participated in the drilling of their teeth. And those holes then are a conduit for bacteria and fish debris and fecal matter and other stuff that's bad end up going into those holes in their teeth, and they enter the bloodstream. That causes an infection. So most animals in captivity, especially SeaWorld's animals, they have very poor teeth. We call that dentition, right? Very poor dentition. And so without ongoing use of antibiotics to fight infection, and without irrigating these teeth with some kind of antiseptic solution, most of those animals would be dead pretty quickly, I think, from infection if they didn't continue to receive those interventions. So most of them are actually very poor candidates. Doesn't mean they couldn't be released to some kind of netted off whale sanctuary where they continue to interact with trainers and animal care people to give them their antibiotics and to flush their teeth, which is something that we're actually working towards, is developing a sanctuary somewhere probably in the Northwest where killer whales that are in captivity can be retired to. So that's a great question.
And my personal question was, you already kind of answered, about netted off sea nets or something like that for the captive whales that are already there in SeaWorld. But do you think that even the whales suffering from dorsal collapse could last out in the ocean?
Yeah, well, so I guess the question is, even so many animals have dorsal collapse, and even if we put them into, I understand the question, even if we put them into a sanctuary, they do okay. One thing we know about dorsal collapse is it doesn't seem, even though it doesn't look good, it doesn't seem to negatively impact their health, right? And does it slow them down while they swim? Probably it does a little bit. It makes it less hydrodynamic, but it didn't seem to have huge negative impacts on their health. So the dorsal collapse, even though it doesn't look good, doesn't seem to be a big deal. And if we transported, put those animals into the sanctuary, like I said before, they could continue to interact with people and get their medications and get the teeth flushes and get those kinds of medical interventions that allow them to stay as healthy as they could. And when some of them die, absolutely, animals die because they come into those sanctuaries, or they are released into the wild, whatever. It's in some cases, very significant health problems. So, we are anticipating it to be a problem, and so we're working on plans to try to make that happen. So, you don't have a lot of pain.
Hi, I'm Alex, and do you think that Keiko was happy in the wild even though he never reconnected with a pod?
So was Keiko happy in the wild even though he never reconnected with a pod? Boy, that's a difficult question to answer. It's a great question. And in fact, we really don't know if killer whales are happy or if they're sad. You can kind of tell behaviorally if they're moping around, if they seem slow. But in reality, we don't know what their mental status is. And, any more than you probably don't fully know the mental status of the person you're sitting next to, right? Because you're not that person. And so it's tempting to say that Keiko was happy, or Keiko was sad, or Keiko was depressed. But in fact, we don't really know, and it's difficult to assess. I was speaking to a woman yesterday at another school, and she made a statement which I found quite interesting. She said that even if an animal that lived its entire life in captivity was going to die in a couple of weeks, just a couple of weeks of freedom in the open ocean would be worth it. And I thought to myself, maybe she has something that's true. So it kind of goes hand in hand, by the way, with the question that I'm often asked, having worked with Tillicum an awful lot, is why do you think Tillicum killed Dawn? Was he unhappy? Was he mad? And it's tempting to, attribute Dawn's death to Tillicum being mad, or Tillicum being depressed, or mentally ill, but in fact, we have no idea. Now, we can speculate. I think he probably is a very depressed animal. But it's very difficult to prove that. And so, who knows?
Hi, I'm Quinn, and I'm asking this for my friend. Is there ever a time that orcas should be or could benefit from being in captivity?
So, is there any time an orca should be or would benefit from being in captivity? So, that's a great question, right? And the answer is clearly yes. So, why do we all care enough about killer whales? Well, we care about killer whales because SeaWorld has had them in captivity for so long, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't know much about the animals. So they've been in captivity for roughly 50 years, and in that time, the public has grown to appreciate them and care about them. Now, the time has come and gone for them to remain in captivity. We know a lot about them. We now all get it, care, we understand they're special animals. So that time has come and gone, but captivity certainly made us care for them, right? Also, captivity or captive environments can serve a huge purpose if an animal was injured or sick and rescued from the wild. Now, SeaWorld, as far as I know, very few parks around the world rescue injured or sick whales, wild killer whales, and rehabilitated them and released them back into the wild. But that doesn't mean it couldn't happen in the future. So an animal that got sick and was picked up by an animal care team and taken to a place like SeaWorld and nursed back to health and released, that's would certainly benefit the animal. So yeah, I think in some very distinct, narrowed circumstances, captivity would be ideal for an animal. It's temporary.
Hi, my name is Sage. My question is, how many of Tillicum's offsprings have you interacted with? And have they ever shown any signs of violent behavior?
Well, so one of Tillicum's offspring, Taku, I spent a lot of time with, and Taku was an ornery male killer whale that, as far as I know, never hurt anybody, but the trainers that ended up working with him at SeaWorld in Texas, while he was an adult male, were never allowed to get water with him. He was considered a little too dangerous, I think. And so, and as far as I know, none of Tillicum's offspring have any official record of serious injury and no deaths. But by the way, what's in the record and what was presented in the OSHA hearing in terms of injuries, it's just a small fraction of the actual trainer injuries that have occurred through the years. I myself was injured pretty seriously by a killer whale, and it was never recorded. It's not in any of the OSHA documents. So there were injuries all the time that never got recorded as official injuries. So, but in terms of Tilikum's offspring, Kakus were the only one that I knew of. No, and I'm thinking back, one of probably two of his offspring I actually interacted with. And the other, so Taku died in the late, about 2006 or 7. He died of mosquito-borne pathogen. He died of West Nile virus. And his other offspring that I interacted with, her name was Nyar, and Nyar was rejected by Mother Gudrun. And I hand-fed her, basically hand-raised her with 2 other trainers, and she died at about age 2. And it was shortly after Nyar died that I actually turned in my resignation and left SeaWorld. I couldn't do it anymore. It was too emotionally draining for me. So those are the 2 animals that, and I'm kind of trying to think about, did I interact with any of his offspring? Perhaps one more, but I'm right now kind of drawing a blank on who that was, but at least a couple.
Hi, my name is Alina, and I know we've talked a lot about like orcas in captivity, and I know that that's kind of wrong, but do you know anything else about the other animals in captivity at SeaWorld?
Yeah, so actually I'm writing a paper right now about bottlenose dolphins in captivity, and what we know about other whales and dolphins specifically, when we talk about things like beluga whales, we talk about bottlenose dolphins, Pacific white-sided dolphins, Sidorca crassidens, is that these animals suffer the same problems, have the same health issues, the same social problems as killer whales do in captivity. It's just that killer whales get more notoriety. They're larger, there's fewer of them actually in captivity than most of those other animals I mentioned. And it just happens to be the animal that I work with the closest, so that's kind of why I focus my attention on killer whales. But the other animals, they fare just as poorly as killer whales do in captive environments. By the way, I'm not anti-zoo and I'm not anti-aquarium. There are some animals that do quite well in captive environments. As it turns out, when we look at sort of their intellectual levels, if we look at their social and environmental requirements, there are some animals that don't do well, and it's pretty easy to see that. And elephants are in that category. The great apes, monkeys, some species of monkeys don't do well. Large cats, such as lions and tigers, generally don't do well. And the list goes on and on and on. So some animals do fine, seem to adapt well, and others just don't do that great. I think their requirements are just too complicated.
Hi, I'm Camry. How do you think Blackfish has changed Americans' thoughts on keeping animals captive for entertainment purposes?
So how has Blackfish changed Americans' perception, Americans' opinions on keeping animals in captivity for entertainment? Well, one of the first indications that it had some effect was that SeaWorld stock plummeted right after Blackfish came out. Their gate attendance immediately plummeted after Blackfish came out, and it continues to decline. People aren't going to the park. So people, what I tell people is that folks, citizens are voting with their wallets, that these are not paying money, they're not spending money at those parks. One of the first indications that Blackfish was actually having an impact was the announcement that the Ringling Brothers Circus announced that they were going to retire their elephants. They were no longer going to have elephants in their shows. And so what Ringling Brothers was trying to do was predict what the changing public opinion was going to eventually demand, which was that we're not going to come see your circus if you have these large animals anymore. And so they got ahead of the curve a little bit. They announced the retirement of their elephants. So this has had a huge impact, and I think it's had a huge impact to companies in general, not just companies that exploit animals for entertainment. I think it's made companies realize that consumers have a lot of power, and when companies do something wrong, consumers might stop buying the product, and they need to start considering doing the right thing occasionally rather than just always, doing the wrong thing for profit. So I think it has done an enormous justice. It's given animals in captivity a gift that now their keepers or owners or whatever are going to have to pay closer attention to their care.
Hi, I'm Josie. If you were in charge of SeaWorld, what would you do or change?
So if I was in charge of SeaWorld, what would I do or what would I change? Well, so they announced in the captive breeding, that's a step in the right direction. I think what's going to eventually happen is they're going to have to announce that they are doing away with marine mammals in captivity altogether. And so SeaWorld is probably not going to do that anytime soon. And I foresee them kicking and scratching until the bitter end when they have no choice. And the options are, hey, we're going to go bankrupt, or we're going to have to make this really widespread change. And so if I was in charge of SeaWorld, and by the way, I've offered myself to SeaWorld, I want them to reach out to me, and I want to help them through this. I actually want SeaWorld to succeed. They do a lot of good things too, and I want them to be successful. But continuing to exploit animals is not the way forward for them. And I don't think the public is going to come back in sufficient numbers to keep them afloat. So I would really seriously consider just doing away with dolphins in captivity, with sea lions and with walruses in captivity, and killer whales and beluga whales and polar bears and all these things that they continue to try to profit from. And that's going to be very difficult for somebody, no doubt about it.
Hi, I'm Dane, and I was just wondering, during the time that you worked with Tillicum, did you ever have the slightest suspicion that he would ever hurt you or any of the other trainers?
No, that's a great question. So the question was, when I worked with Tilly, did I ever get the idea that he was going to try to hurt me or hurt any of the other trainers? And the answer is no, and I must have been extremely naive. And part of that naivete was manufactured by SeaWorld, who I worked for. And what I mean is, when Tillicum arrived at SeaWorld, I was there, and I worked until shortly after P5. And at that point, it killed Kelty Byrne at Sealand in the Pacific. And he was moved to SeaWorld, where I worked shortly after that. And boy, we weren't told much about that. We weren't given the specifics. We were just told that, a girl drowned in that park, and Tillicum Bay had been part of it, but mainly it was the other whales. So we just need to get careful on it. And Tillicum I never saw any indication that he was going to act aggressively to me or anybody else. And so consequently, I got kind of sloppy around him, and I got reckless. And I put myself probably at some risk, but never did anything to him, luckily. But the answer is no, I never saw any indication. I never saw it.
Hi, I'm James. What are your thoughts about reintroducing Lolita into the wild, a whale that hasn't seen another orca since 1980?
So I mentioned, so the question is, what are my thoughts about releasing Lolita back into the wild? And Lolita's been in captivity, by the way, a really attractive piece. Been in the Miami Sea area by herself for the most part for, very long time since she was a little kid, and she's 30-something years old now. And so I mentioned before that killer whales in captivity are really poor candidates for release because of their teeth, among their problems. Lolita seems to be an exception. Her teeth are in reasonably good condition, and she's not an animal that has chewed a lot on the bars and the concrete in her tanks and around her tanks. teeth are in pretty good shape. I think Lolita happens to be a decent candidate for peace. We know that her pod is still intact. In fact, there's some speculation that maybe her mother's still alive. And well, I think with some work, some solid work from animal behaviors trainers, Lolita might be able to be introduced back into her population. And so I think she ends up being one of these animals that is a candidate. And I actually think that the Miami Sea Aquarium is going to receive increased pressure to do something about Lolita, especially since she's a part of the endangered population, right? So even one female like Lolita is super important to her population to keep that population intact and keep going for a long period of time. So I see pressure actually mounting on Miami Sea Aquarium for Easter, and I actually think she has a decent chance of it.
Another question is, what is your viewpoint on animals with more developed brain functions being in captivity in general?
You kind of broke up a little bit. Can you restate that question? I'm very sorry.
What is your viewpoint on animals with more developed brain functions being in captivity in general?
Yeah, so I kind of like to come, so my question, I keep forgetting it, state the question. So the animals with higher brain functioning, which I'm assuming you mean sort of higher intellectual capacity, what's my opinion on them being in captivity? Well, I kind of went already over that. Some animals seem to be, better adapted to captivity than others. Animals like great apes and elephants and tigers and lions and even pigs, by the way. Pigs are very, very smart, very highly intelligent animals and very social animals. And we know that pigs, so those of you who like bacon, like your pork chops and all that, the practice behind pig farming is tragic. Pigs know what's going on. There's every indication of what's going on. They live tragic lives and then they end up on your dinner plate. So I myself am a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian for 25 years or something. And so I try to live what I kind of talk about, and I don't believe in animal suffering all year round. And so, next time you eat bacon, realize that it came from a smart animal who kind of gets its predicament. It's a captive animal, right? And so I think that people in general, and I've fallen victim to this as well, we don't give animals enough credit for their intellectual capacity and their capacity for feeling and emotion and their capacity for pain and suffering. And I think that we need to take a moment occasionally and consider the pain and suffering of people and animals around us. It's very important.
John, our bell is about to ring, so
Okay.
we're going to excuse a handful of the students, and then once they kind of clear out, we're going to have about 50 students left in here that would love to still stay and chat with you if you could be patient with us while they clear out, if that's okay.
Sure, yeah, I'll stay around.
Okay, thank you.
Great questions, everybody. Thank you very much.
Wow. Yeah, you're right, Kelly.
I think students were holding most of their own, but they might have their teachers
Yeah, because they typed them up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, thanks for your patience. So we have a handful. I think we lost some in the mix. Maybe they didn't hear the announcement that they're supposed to stay if they're in our third period classes. But we were just going to kind of open it up to them for a few minutes if they had any follow-up questions of stuff that you've already said. And then if there's anything else in general that you want to add, that would be great. And then I think when the questions are done and when you're done, we'll just release them back to class.
Okay, sure.
All right? Okay.
Sounds great. You guys can still hear me okay?
Yeah, everything still
doesn't run for.
Do you mind if I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Some of the teachers have questions too.
Oh,
So. Well, I don't know. Don't put that pressure on.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Medley. One of my students had a follow-up question, but she had to leave. She was wondering, in Blackfish they talk about how developed the brain of the orca is, and the part of the brain where the limbic system, with the emotions or something along those lines, and she was wondering, does that research show or prove that the orcas are developed emotionally and can connect well with the trainers as a result?
Yeah, wow, that's a great question. Did everybody hear that question? No. So, essentially what you're asking is there proof that the animals are emotionally connected to each other, and are they, in fact, emotionally connected to the trainers? Yeah, that's a great question. It's one that the former trainers that I'm associated with kind of debate. And so we know that the brain's highly developed in some important ways, way more developed than human brains are, right? And so they are, in some fundamental ways, more intelligent than we are. They're from a different planet, so it's hard to know how intelligent they are. We can even assess human intelligence, right? We don't know what that means. We have these IQ tests that kind of get at it, but really there's a lot more that goes into it, just answering some questions. So how intelligent are they? We don't really know. We just know the brains are highly developed, including the brain that part of the brain seems to be dedicated to emotional development and their emotional state. We do know that in the wild they live in very tight family groups, and it's very common, for example, for male killer whales to live their entire lives with their moms. So they're mom's boys. And it's also been shown in the research literature that when a male killer whale dies, when a mom dies, it's something like 80% increase in the probability that the boy, the male, will then die within the next year. So, which means that in the male is catching his own fish, he's catching his own food. It's not like mom is still feeding him, but there's some kind of emotional bond that mom provides to the son that when mom dies for some reason, she gets sick or whatever happens, the guy, or the offspring also die. So what does that suggest? It suggests that the two are intimately tied emotionally. And Dr. Guido in the movie talks about, another piece of evidence is that when one whale strands, in other words, beaches itself, oftentimes the entire but the entire coffee or the entire population or a good portion of that population will also beach itself. Perhaps to try to save it or because they're all linked emotionally. So you just kind of look at the evidence. So let's talk about the emotional connection with the trainers. So one of the things as a trainer you're taught to tell the public is that we've got this great relationship with the animals, right? It seems warm and fuzzy, beautiful, it's nice, and it sells, a lot of shirts at SeaWorld. But in reality, I've come to accept the fact, at least it's a fact in my own mind and in a lot of former trainers' minds, that really the relationship is based on food. I feed the animal food, and the animal then is connected to because I provide them meats to keep living. And so rather than being tied to me emotionally, they're tied to me as a food source. Because I take handfuls of fish and shove it in their mouths. And one piece of evidence for this, I think, is that if you go up to the side of one of the pools, even though they know who you are, you're one of their trainers, and if you don't have a bucket of fish, by the way, they're totally cued in. They know when you have a fish bucket. They know when you're preparing fish buckets because they can hear the vibrations, feel them through the cooker. If you show up to the side of a pool without fish, oftentimes they ignore you. They have no interest in coming over and interacting with you. You show up 5 minutes later with a bucket of fish, and they zoom right over. Why? Because they're fed. So you contrast that with, say, a dog, right? You see a dog out in a park that you've never interacted with before, and the dog runs right towards you and starts rubbing on you and licking you. Why? Well, because the dog is sort of intrinsically motivated to interact with humans. We have a co-evolution together. We've been together with dogs for an awful long time. And so I think you can form an emotional bond with the dog because they're kind of cued in. Their brain wiring is kind of that way. Killer whales, I'm not convinced of that. So if Tillicum had such a great relationship on and vice versa, why would he tear her arm off and scalp her and break dozens of bones and drown her and swallow her arm? It doesn't seem like he had a great relationship with her, at least on that case. Well, I'm not convinced of that. That was a really long-winded answer. I'm sorry.
Hi, I'd like to know what your response is to the claims SeaWorld made about you in their blackfish analysis, misleading and or inaccurate content.
So I'm not sure exactly what analysis that is.
They released it on their website, and it says that you have not worked there for about 20 years, and you had limited interaction with killer whales, and you only worked with Tillicum for a short period of time, and you were never in charge of a session with Tillicum.
That's just not true at all. And why would I say that if it weren't true, right? As it turns out, I was hired at SeaWorld. I was promoted through the ranks as quickly as you could as a trainer. I achieved the eventual rank of trainer level, and I never achieved senior trainer level because I left before I was promoted to senior trainer level. I passed all the swim tests. I was the team leader for Tillicum. So this is just simply a way of discounting the whistleblower, in which case they're talking about me. Right? They're just trying to discredit me and my character. But nothing that SeaWorld, I don't even read or pay attention to what SeaWorld says because it's totally ridiculous. And, they quote Dr. Ventry that he at one point was a fake doctor. They called him a fake doctor because he was a chiropractor. Now Dr. Ventry is a medical doctor. But they call him a fake doctor. Why do they call him a fake doctor? Well, so they can discredit him. And so this is what SeaWorld does, right? They try to convince the public that people that are talking about it are, in fact, not experienced or whatever. I worked with Tillicum for the better part of 5 years, and so I don't know what they describe as, or what they define as wrong, long period of interaction versus a very short period of interaction, what they apparently are claiming. I worked with Tillich before, probably 4.5 years for the most part. And so I consider that to be a pretty substantial track record with it.
Do any of you guys have any other follow-up questions? Okay. So why don't you, did you say you have one? Yeah. You have to get close to the camera if you want to crawl down here.
Maybe come down towards the front here.
So,
Go ahead.
yes, so my name's Caitlin, and I know we've talked a lot about captivity and the intelligence of whales, but I was curious about the actual training and the process of training the whales to do the tricks and how long it normally takes before they're ready to do their performances.
Okay, so she's interested in kind of how we train the animals and how long it takes to get them ready for performance. Actually, killer whale training is very easy. It's not rocket science. Any one of you can be trained to be an effective trainer in 6 months. It's the animals are smart and they know almost before you ask them what to do, what you're going to ask them to do. It's a routine for them. So basically, it's work on a system of positive reinforcement, where the animal does something correct, and you reinforce them. Basically, usually with fish, or occasionally some other kind of sort of run down, something you like. And that tells the employee that you did something. And so next time you ask for that behavior, let's say it's a peck wave, right? They're right peck up, and you ask for that, they do that, you give them some reinforcement. Tell them, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. So now you ask them again and they do it, they know if they do it right, they're going to get fish. So they do it right, because they want to be reinforced. And so that's essentially what training is all about. When they do something wrong, give them a 3-second neutral response. You ask for a right peck wave, and they raise both pecks and wave them. And so you just sit there for 3 seconds. Like that, essentially, and they received nothing. It's a neutral response. They didn't get reinforcement. So the idea is the animal realizes that, hey, I didn't do that correctly. I wonder what they really wanted. So it's very simple. So to train complex behaviors, you string together those smaller bits of behavior. So let's say you want to train a peck wave, and for them to swim around the perimeter of the pool doing a peck wave. First, you'd ask them to turn over a little bit on their side and reinforce them. This is in small steps, right? It might take a month or something to train. The next time, you ask them to turn over a little bit more, and you reinforce them. Next time, you ask them to turn over and then present their right peck. And then you reinforce them. The next time, you present the right peck and have them move it a little bit, and then you reinforce them. You get to the point where now, with the peck, and you ask them to swim a little bit, and you reinforce them. So you string these little snippets, behaviors together to form longer behaviors, reinforcing every little piece along the way. And so, to get them ready for a show, it depends on what they do in the show. You have them just go out like Tillich does and do a little splash sequence. You can train that in a month, maybe even shorter. Maybe intensively, you can do it in a week, maybe a few days, depending on the behavior. So it really depends on the animal, depends on the skill level of the trainer, depends on the environment a lot. If the whales are getting off, then don't pay attention to the trainer very well. And it depends on, more importantly, the complexity of the behavior.
Hi, my question is, what is the biggest thing that you took from just working with animals in general?
Well, I've always been a person that has a lot of empathy. So I remember my 7th birthday, my dad gave me a BB gun, and my mom said, whatever you do, don't go out and shoot any animals, because my mom was an animal lover. Of course, being a knucklehead, the first thing I did was went out and I shot a bird with a power line. And it was a blue jay. And the blue jay landed at my feet, flopping around because it wasn't dead. And I remember being a 7-year-old kid bawling my eyes out. And I recognized right then and there that I was a person who was burdened with a large degree of empathy. In other words, I could feel the pain and suffering of people, of other animals. And so one of the things that I took from my experience at SeaWorld was that the animals experience a lot of pain and suffering, and they experience a lot of fear, and that bothered me every day. For many days, by the way, this is going to sound corny. There were many days that I left work and went out into my car and cried. And I cried because the animals, one particular animal in particular, Winnie, get beat up every day, chased and bit and raped every single day. There was no place that little animal could swim to away. And every day I'd go out in my car and cry. And it broke me down. And so one of the things I learned is that, and I still believe this, and I tell my students this, and we talk about this, and I think that if we all develop a sense of empathy and appreciated empathy a little bit more, in other words, caring for others, then our planet would be a lot better off, right? And caring for others could be a tree, and it could be bugs, and it could be rabbits, and it could be all kinds of things. Others is not necessarily just humans, right? We've got to get away from this human-centric view of the world. We're one piece of the puzzle. There's a lot of critters, plants, animals, insects that live around us that deserve the same life, the same pursuit of happiness, if you will, that we all think we expect and deserve.
Hi, so earlier you were talking about how the whales were not abused, and in Blackfish, someone was talking about how if the whales didn't do the shows correctly, then they would not be fed. And so I wanted to know, like, what you thought was considered abuse towards the whale, either if it was like psychological or physical.
Yeah, so what constitutes abuse in a killer whale captive environment? Like I said, the trainers aren't out beating the animals, right? They're not shocking them, they're not throwing rocks out or anything like that. But I think abuse comes in a lot of different ways, and it kind of is a continuum. And so, it depends on what you mean by abuse. So one of the methods you use as a trainer is withholding food, right? An animal is more likely to cooperate and to participate effectively if he or she is hungry. And so it's common, it's very common, despite what SeaWorld has said, and they repeatedly said that we basically are lying on this point, which is nonsense. It's very common to withhold food for an animal for several days when you know you have an important show coming. So what's an important show? Well, for us, when the owner of the company showed up on Saturday, that was considered to be a pretty important show. You wanted to show Mr. August Bush III that you were doing a good job, right? And so we would not feed the animals very much for the 3 days or so leading up to his arrival. So they'd be really hungry and really motivated to do behaviors correctly. And so is that animal abuse? I don't know. No, it depends on how you define it.
Do you think that Blackfish accurately portrayed SeaWorld?
I think Blackfish accurately portrayed SeaWorld, absolutely. In fact, Gabriella, I know, at her own expense, flew multiple times from Los Angeles to Orlando, Florida to try to meet with SeaWorld people, and they repeatedly declined to participate. She camped outside of offices trying to get their side of the story. The one thing that the movie does not depict is the fact that SeaWorld, by the way, doesn't do a lot of it anymore, but SeaWorld used to do an awful lot of rescues and rehabilitation. Think about manatees and birds and sea turtles and these kinds of critters. SeaWorld's not doing much of that anymore for a variety of reasons, but Blackfish doesn't depict that side of what SeaWorld does. And again, it wasn't meant to depict, right? So the what's depicted in SeaWorld is depicted based on what the former trainers talk about. And we've got nothing to hide, right? We all just want to tell the truth about this. We all work there, and that's what we did. So the truth is ugly, and that's why people stopped going.
Hi. So I know that you said you're empathetic towards animals, and you said that a lot of these slaughter animals are very aware of what's going on. And there's a lot of an outcry for the dolphins, the orcas, the elephants. Why do you think there's not more of an outcry for the smaller animals in captivity, like the slaughter animals or the recreational animals like horses?
Yeah, so why has all the attention been focused on what I would call charismatic species like killer whales and dolphins, and not some of the lesser mammals, horses and slaughterhouse animals, cows and pigs? And that's a good question. And humans have evolved to exploit animals, right? We're omnivores, so which means we eat plant-based material. We also eat meat when there's an opportunity to do that. And I bet if I asked you to raise your hands, every one of you would say, yeah, like hamburgers, right? And so I think part of the reason is that there's a perception that cows, perhaps horses, don't have the same level of intellectual capacity and emotional capacity, perhaps, and so as killer whales do, and so it's easier to sort of be empathetic for killer whales than it is cows. But I don't know if that's fair. And so I think what my perception is that we have sort of selective caring thing going on, right? We selectively determine what we're going to care for and then also what we're going to conveniently forget about. In cows and the terror that they probably experience when they're getting ready to be killed and ground up into hamburger, yeah, we're willing to go ahead and just kind of let that escape our minds, right? And most of us aren't willing to confront that. But killer whales are easy because we don't eat them, and most of us aren't in the business of exploiting them, and you're not going to the grocery store and buying and so it seems somewhat unnecessary. So it's easy to kind of attack the whole SeaWorld thing and try to get the killer whale problem fixed. But for animals that we eat, yeah, maybe less so. We get enjoyment out of eating, and so we're less concerned with their health and well-being. But that's a good question. It's a complex question, and I didn't do it justice. The answer is clunky, and it's not a very good one. And it's been explored a lot in the literature, by the way. The sort of moral and ethical aspects of being a meat eater, for example, versus being a vegetarian. There's a lot of complex psychological issues to those questions. It's a great question, very complex.
All right, I think that's it for questions. So is there anything else that you want to share or talk about before we end our conversation?
Well, I'll just put a general question out there. So what do we do for the whales that are left behind, and they're I guess they're going to live out their lives in concrete tanks? Is that okay? Since SeaWorld has said they're going to end captive breeding, so presumably there won't be any new killer whales entering captivity. What about the guys and girls that are currently in their tanks? What do we do for those animals? Do we just kind of walk away and forget about them and hope for the best? My guess is that most of them are going to just kind of end up dying in concrete tanks. Tillicum is sick. He probably won't be around too much longer. He's going to live out his life staring at a concrete wall, dying. Is that okay? I mean, what have we learned about this? But I don't know if y'all have any other questions, but I just want you to know that I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be in Blackfish and present, the dark side of a really nasty industry, one that's still, found all around the planet, right? We exploit animals in all kinds of zoos and aquariums, still going on. And hopefully it provided some insight into what's going on in places like SeaWorld. And I think that's important, right, to be an informed consumer. So at least when you decide that you're going to spend your money in a place like that, you have better information than you had before, and you can be a little bit better informed, better educated consumer. So it's important to continue to utilize your ability to critically think and to analyze and make good decisions. Any other questions? Come on, don't be shy.
I actually kind of had a follow-up question about what you were just talking about. So it costs about $20 million to get Kiko transferred to Newport and then to the sea pen and just everything involved. And it kind of seemed like it was, the Free Willy Foundation and that kind of outreach that kind of put that together. So what does that look like now? Does another Free Willy movie need to come out? How do you get those resources and motivation back together at this point to make that happen for all those retired whales?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It does cost a lot of money to take care of animals. It costs a ton of money to transport them. This whole sanctuary thing would require full-time paid staff to continue training the animals, take care of them, provide veterinary care, feed them high-quality food, whatever. And so every day, all of us, and I have spoken recently to Gabrielle and Conference Bay, we all receive every day tons of emails. How can I help? I'd like to donate money. Where can I donate it to? Just recently got a donation from a toy manufacturer, the CEO of a large toy manufacturer, who used to have killer whale type toys that they want to donate a couple of $1 million to this project. So I think the latest numbers are roughly 150 million people have seen Blackfish. And I kind of envision that this whole thing be run at least, I think initially with donations, and I see donations coming from a variety of companies, individual donations. And then also, the sort of preliminary concept is to have some kind of educational programming at the facility where people might pay some fee to come in and learn about, killer whales. Be a truly educational experience. But then you run the risk of kind of looking like SeaWorld, right? And charging admission and getting a ticket, going to the turnstile and buying whale sanctuary t-shirts. We don't want that to be the case. And so the funding thing is a major topic of concern, of course, because if you get it started, you've got to keep going. So we're seeing sort of corporate and citizen donations running a large part of it. Kind of like the cake foundation.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you so much for doing this. We're also appreciative of your time, and we wish the best for all your ventures. And
all right.
We'll talk to you later.
Okay, thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Yay! Good job, everyone. Great questions.